Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. I myself have been cooking up some unusual burn builds lately. However, Simon Kamerow just won the NRG 2.5k Legacy Trial Series with this burn deck, so I thought let's put it on the channel and see how it goes. I do like to showcase very affordable decks when I can, and this is certainly that. If you look at the configuration of the deck, it is a thing of beauty. We've got 4 of, just all 4 ofs, apart from 2 Eidolons. So what are we trying to do? If you didn't guess, we're trying to burn our opponent down. We have Monastery Swiftspear and Goblin Guide as our main recursive threats. We've got a couple of Eidolon of the Great Revel, which can really jam up certain decks, and then everything else in our deck is basically dealing 3 damage. So Boltwave, Chain Lightning, Lava Spike, Lightning Bolt, Rift Bolt, Skewer the Critics, all just dealing 3 damage, and then Fireblast can deal 4, and Price of Progress can deal usually 4 to 6 damage. Pretty good. We've got 18 mountains, pretty simple and exciting to play. Sideboard-wise, we need to stop ourselves dying to turn 1 combo decks. We need to stop ourselves dying to reanimated things. So we've got a bunch of Graveyard Hate here. We've got some Searing Blaze for creature matchups, Smash of Smithereens for artifact matchups, and then a couple of Red Blasts. Pretty simple, pretty clean deck list. Might not be the longest of leagues today, but I'm excited to give this a go. I do like playing a bit of burn, and I wish it was better in Legacy. So let's see how we fare. Congratulations again to Simon Kamerow, and let's just get stuck in with a bit of burn action. For free, fast, and secure worldwide shipping on high-end singles, classic products, and full sets, check out 3-for-1 Trading. Whether it's the Legacy or pre-modern that I play on this channel, or even vintage and old school, they've got you covered. Find them through the link in the description of this video and use my code COW3 for free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. Right, we're on the play. This hand looks pretty good. We can keep this. We can attack for 2 on turn 1, and then we can attack for more on the following turn. Goblin Guide, here we go. What's our opponent got on top of the library? So we basically just had a Mishra's Bauble. That's what this did. So when they don't draw a land, it feels really good to just have information. So next turn, we have the ability to Swiftspear and maybe get some extra damage in. We'll see if our opponent is holding up this Flusterstorm for us or not. A Ponder. So we can get in with some good damage here. If we draw a Mountain, there's a temptation to bolt them and Fireblast them this turn, which is kind of wild. Apologies if you can hear the rain outside. It's very loud. Okay, Monastery Swiftspear. Out you come. Chain Lightning to the Dome. And then we put our opponent pretty darn low. I wonder what deck is running Flusterstorm. Could be like Doomsday. But if they cast a Doomsday, they will die on their next turn because they'll go to 5. And we have plenty of damages. And if they cycle anything, we can fire a Fireblast in. Now they do have this Flusterstorm, which might be able to protect them in certain situations. We'll see. A Brainstorm. I think we have our opponent clocked next turn if we really want to go for it. So this is 4, 8, plus 5. That's a lot of damage, because each one is +1 because of the Monastery Swiftspear. They're at 10. And a Ponder. Okay. Well, I guess our opponent just dies this turn. I think our opponent looks like they're on Doomsday. Like, this Flusterstorm does feel like a Doomsday piece more than anything else. Lotus Petal, I think that confirms it for me. Okay, here's a Mountain. I'd like to Chain Lightning your face, please. I would also like to Lava Spike your face as well, please. You have to counter this because it's lethal, and then the Fireblast can do even more. And let's Fireblast our opponent's Dome. Alright. A very impressive turn 3 kill with burn. So, Doomsday. What do we care about Doomsday-wise? Like, Mindbreak Trap can sometimes mess with them. Treasure Extraction can sometimes shuffle their pile in a way that's annoying to them. So, what is the turn 1 kills, or the turn 2 kills we're worried about? Do we need to have some Mindbreak Traps in? I think we do. They're going to look awful some of the time. We just have to suck it up, I think. Is it the Rift Bolts or is it the Skewers? I think it's the Skewers that stay. And then we have some Mindbreak Traps, and maybe they do something, maybe they don't. I don't know if they have some sort of shouldered pivot, but we might be able to outrace that. 4 lands. That's so many lands. Like, if we mulligan and we get the same hand, but with like... Although I do really, really, really like this Eidolon. Am I going to keep a 4-lander? I guess so. Like, I think this is one of the best cards in the matchup, because all our opponents' cantrips and trying to get there really punishes them. I'm not a big lover of all these. I'd rather one of these or a burn spell. If we draw more lands, we almost certainly lose. But I think keeping one of our better cards in the matchup is kind of just what we have to deal with here. Snow-covered Island, they can ponder and set up the top of their library if they want to. Or they could just kill us on turn 1 with Dark Ritual here. Well, I guess we don't get to do anything. So this blue mana means they're going to Brainstorm or Ponder, which should mean they can clear their entire pile and win the game. So let's press that F6 button and let our opponent kill us. We also get to see how they're sideboarded though, which is not nothing. And see if we need to bring in any other tools. Okay, let's see. Any pivots? I cannot see a pivot plan in here. It is just full-on Turbo Doomsday. They got Jace Wielder of Mysteries, which is just another way of getting through your pile and winning the game that way. Okay. Yep. So they Brainstorm here. So they had the Street Wraith that might have got them into the Brainstorm they put on top. And then they can play this. They cycle using Age of Autumn or something. And then they crack this in response for blue, and then they go Consider into Thassa's Oracle. A pretty clean pile. Yep, here we go. So they mill over a card. They play Thassa's Oracle, no cards in their library. And we are very dead. So we could play the Pyroblasts. We could do something like this and have some Pyroblasts. I guess we try it. Like, we don't need that much burn if our opponent's playing Doomsday, right? The way they win this game is by turboing us. We have some burn spells. It's the thing our deck does. I think we just have to keep it and hope that we can pressure our opponent quick enough that they don't get to... Like, turn 1 is not a thing they do that often. Turn 2 kills are not completely out of the question, though. Generally speaking, I consider Doomsday to be about a turn 3 deck, usually. The Skewer the Critics is a little bit of a nombo with our Swiftspear because we can't get the extra 1 damage out of it. But maybe we draw something that changes things. We'll find out. Here is my Goblin Guide. It will turn sideways, and I will see the top card of your library. If they do a Doomsday, they can also do a pile that gives them the ability to get a card off of our Goblin Guide and maybe get through the pile like a turn quicker or a little bit more pain-free. So we might have to consider how we attack with the Goblin Guide if and when the time comes. That is an Underground Sea. That is a Ponder. That's what we want to see. Ideally, I'd like to draw something like Chain Lightning, Boltwave, that sort of thing. So we can play the Swiftspear and then get the pump in on the Swiftspear so it attacks with 2 this turn. Another Mountain. That is a bad draw. I'll deploy the Swiftspear. I will attack. I imagine they're about to draw a land here. Oh, they shuffled off the Ponder, actually. A Dark Ritual, you say? So we can hold this up, and that way if our opponent casts a Doomsday, we can hit them after the Doomsday. So they would go to 7 off the Doomsday. Or we can hit them now, and they go to 12, and they go to 6 off the Doomsday. I guess we just Spectacle them now. And then we can hold up the Price of Progress, which will be lethal pretty soon. So this could be 4 damage, and then we have another 4 damage here, so that's 8. So if they Doomsday and pass a turn, they lose the game. If they can't counter what we're doing. So I don't like the fact they've got this extra land up. So they could just kill us on turn 2 here. We need 1 more turn, really. It took a bit longer to make this pile, so maybe they don't have a win this turn. Feels like they do have a win this turn, though. A Brainstorm, yep. So then they can play a Street Wraith alongside a Landside Diamond, just do the exact same pile they did last time. And we are 1 turn too slow to stop this. Street Wraith, this is going to put them... So if we'd have done a different line with our Spectacle spell here and saved it, our opponent would be on 5 now, so we put them to 2. So we'd still be dead. Okay, our opponent turn 2'd us. No, they turn 1'd us and turn 2'd us. And we turn 3'd them. So, yeah. Awkward. Let's go to round 2. Okay, our opening hand for round 2 looks pretty good. We got Goblin Guy. We can start skewering and bolting and blasting as we need. This is about 14-ish points of damage in our hand. We count this as 4 damage most of the time. How many Barragoyts are we going to run into today? That is something... Oh, Ancient Tomb. Don't mind that. Grim Monolith. Sure. And no play. Another Mountain. Not what we want to see here. In we come. Khan the Great Creator. Sure. That can probably do something horrible to us next turn. But this little Ancient Tomb is going to hurt our opponent a fair bit here. So they go to 14 here. We're pretty close to killing our opponent next turn, actually. If they tap for the Ancient Tomb this turn, and then they tap the Ancient Tomb next turn, they just die, I think. We deploying the Khan, or we got a 1 ring over there. The 1 ring is very annoying because Skewer is a sorcery. It's another Grim Monolith. They're trying to avoid tapping their Ancient Tomb here. So they can play the 1 ring and then tap the Ancient Tomb, and then this doesn't deal them damage because the 1 ring prevents it. Yep, it's the One Ring. So this is some free damage for us at some point. That is a Glaring Fleshraker. So this is a source. I think I mentioned trying to cast this at instant speed in the last round, and which is obviously not a thing it can do. Apologies for that. Chain Lightning. This is also a sorcery. I think we just funnel this into our opponent's Fleshraker now. Because this gives them pain-free mana. And then we can hold up Lightning Bolt, and then we also have access to Fireblast in a pinch. So we got 7 damage. Our opponent's going to 15 this turn, possibly less if they tap their Ancient Tomb. So we might be able to kill our opponent soon, but things are starting to slip away a touch. So we probably attack with the Goblin Guide next turn, because if they make a construct, then they take 2 damage. If they don't make a construct, they also take 2 damage. So it kind of comes out in the wash and guarantees 2 damage. Whereas if we don't attack, they might just take no damage from our guy. I think for the purposes of mana efficiency, I'm going to Lightning Bolt my opponent. It didn't matter. Cool. Alright, so this does force through some damage. One way or the other, because this taps for 2 mana, right? Actually. So they can make as a side construct with that. That isn't so good for us. So if I Fireblast my opponent, they go to 8, and then we skewer them, they go even lower. We've got plenty of mountains, so we may as well sack them while we can. Alright, our opponent's at 5. That workshop was actually pretty good here. Giving them the ability to make a pain-free as a Saga construct. Very annoying. Alright, the One Ring doing its thing. So they are dead to Lightning Bolt. And Chain Lightning. And Boltwave. And all the other things that our deck likes to do. So we're probably going to draw a Rift Bolt and then lose the game. So if we didn't play the Fireblast this turn, we could have had enough mana to cast a Rift Bolt as well. 3 mana for the Rift Bolt, 1 for the thing to the face, and then the Fireblast. Yeah. Okay. So maybe that's a little misstep where we could have been a little bit cleaner thinking about if we draw exactly Rift Bolt. But keeping our opponent lower means that we turn off a second Ancient Tomb this turn if they have that. That's a Khan the Great Creator. What are you going to do with it? And they're getting an artifact. What artifact would you like there, opponent? A liquid metal coating. That doesn't seem great. Are you playing another land here? You can't imagine you're tapping this Ancient Tomb. There's also a decision of whether or not they tap the One Ring, because that could be a thing that they want to survive with. So they can survive on 1 life for next turn if they don't tap this. Right, they got the liquid metal coating, but they can't do anything with it. You can attack your construct. That seems bad. They did not attack with their construct. Good. All right, this is where we draw the Rift Bolt and lose. We drew another mountain. That's not great. Not a fan of that for us. But they do have to do something about this One Ring. They get to tap it this turn, but the Ancient Tomb is off. So they can draw 2 cards with the One Ring, because they're going to die to it regardless if it's still in place. It gives them a little bit more chance to find the resources to replace it. All right, our opponents pause for a while, which suggests to me they don't have a clean way out of this. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. This can untap the One Ring, so they can get a lot of cards here. Right, they're untapping the Grim Monolith. They probably don't have a One Ring in the sideboard. They probably have a Mystic Forge. But we could die this turn. If this had been a Barbarian Ring, we could have been able to kill our opponent this turn. We could have forced either this 2 damage through or the Barbarian Ring gets Threshold. But obviously, we can't sacrifice Barbarian Rings to the Fireblasts. So there's a little bit of ebb and flow as to how you construct a burn deck. And they're revealing something with their Khan. They either need to kill us this turn or play a copy of the One Ring. And playing a copy of the One Ring might still end up with them dying, because we could untap and then draw a burn spell, and then in their upkeep, when the protection is worn off, we burn them. A Portable Hole. That does not get rid of their own One Ring. So it feels like they're just going to get rid of our Goblin Guide. They're drawing some cards. So they could have made their One Ring into a creature and turned on something like a Kozilek's Command to maybe exile this. We don't know what's in their hand. I think getting the Portable Hole, rather than waiting to see what you draw off the One Ring, is kind of interesting. Okay, our opponent has scooped it up. We managed to burn our way through. I will take that. I would like access to Smash to Smithereens, and probably, maybe I want the Searing Blaze, and maybe there's an argument for the Mindbreak Traps. What do we not like here? Rift Bolt is kind of slow and gets ruined by the One Ring way too easily. Maybe we'll take one of these out and have 1 Searing Blaze. They don't have that many creatures that we care about though, but the Glaring Fleshraker is a bit of a scary one. I don't think we want Mindbreak Trap here. I think we just have the one Searing Blaze. 4 lands. That's so many. But we have Price of Progress, which is a lot of damages. So if we keep this hand, if we draw a mountain, at any point we probably lose. I think we should mulligan though, because no recursive source of damage is a real problem. But I think we keep this still. What are we getting rid of? It's probably the Skewer. It's the hardest one to leverage here. So 3, 6, 9, 12 damage. Please start on an Ancient Tomb. They did not start on an Ancient Tomb. They're probably going to have 4 mana on turn 2, which is not ideal. An Eidolon. That is an interesting one. Let's Boltwave. There we go. So they probably play the Wandering this turn, then just doing stuff that's just way bigger than what we're up to. There's a tower. Yep, there it is. 4 mana. Okay. Are they playing anything else out? There is a Lotus Petal. Would love to draw a Searing Blaze this turn. Okay, they're getting another trigger off of this. I think we have to kill the Fleshraker, which is not necessarily how we want to be using our burn spells, but it is what it is. Oh, they're replaying another spell. Anagram Monolith. Yikes. Only 1 card in hand, though. So if they don't have like one of their payoffs, then they're kind of going to be stuck for a little bit. Feels like they've got one of their payoffs, though. He's going to Kozilek's Command. Mystic Forge. So we could die to Mystic Forge this turn, which is a little bit scary. So I think we have to blow up the Mystic Forge rather than doing anything else. It's Opal, sure. Stop casting spells, opponent. I'm not enjoying this. So tutoring here. So presumably going... This clears the top of their deck for the Mystic Forge. They get a Candelabra of Tornos. So this gives them more mana because they can sack these 2 for then get 4 mana. Yep, we might just die on turn 2 here, which is one of the problems with burn. Your opponent can just kill you on turn 2. You have very little recourse. So they trade 2 mana for 4 mana. Do they get to keep going or not, though? Right, top of the deck still has the good stuff going on. And it's the One Ring. Jeez. I don't think we can beat this. It just feels insurmountable at this point. If we were on the play and we got this Eidolon down first, then maybe. Okay, so blowing up the Mystic Forge doesn't seem great anymore. I guess that means we have to kill this. And then bolt. We can't Boltwave our opponent. We don't get to do anything this turn cycle apart from kill the Fleshraker. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. And we don't get to use this mana because all of our spells are sorceries that we are 1 mana. Okay, our opponent should probably put this game away this turn. They've got so many resources to deal with. They have 3 taps of the One Ring minimum. So this is 2 cards, then 3 cards, and 4 cards. Playing Fleshraker, we should be dead here. This is certainly not the flavour of combo deck that our deck really has a good time into. Like if somebody's casting Reanimate, then their life total might go low enough that we can kill them in response to like an Attractor trigger. This has a gain life mode on it, so I'm just going to scoop this one up for now. Okay, I think the Searing Blaze makes sense here. Do like the Price of Progress, it's like a huge amount of damage. I think we just go in again. Maybe the Mindbreak Traps are good here, but they can quite easily just not play that many spells in 1 turn. Like it stops like some of their like super big scary turns. So this is a hand that if we draw mountains, we'll have a great time. Yeah, sure. I think we'll keep it. Our opponent's mulligan to 5. That's quite low. So turn 1, Swiftspear, turn 2, Boltwave, possibly double Boltwave if we draw the land. Like if we draw 1 mountain on our second turn, then I think we are well on our way to winning this one. So what, 5, 10, plus another 12 damage. So we have like loads of damage here, provided we can just draw the lands to cast it. Mishra's Research Desk. Not the most exciting of cards. Come on, draw a land. It was not a mountain. Alright, Boltwave it is. Gets us 5 damage this turn. So they know our hand is absolutely juiced with stuff here. Ancient Tomb, that's not the one they wanted there. A Fleshraker, okay. They got follow-up, they got like a Lotus Petal, sure. That's going to make our ability to attack with this Monastery Swiftspear a lot worse. Really need to draw a mountain. Did not draw a mountain. So we can attack with this. If they block, we bolt the face and it grows. Otherwise, we can use the Skewer to kill the Fleshraker. Right, it's going to soak up damage here. You got it. So presumably they're going to use this mana into the Research Desk. They did not. So our opponent hasn't lost any life this turn, but I do think we take out their source of pain-free mana here. Please, can we draw a land? Another Fleshraker. Okay. So they have another thing to follow up with this time. They can crack the Research Desk. The One Ring. So they can cast the One Ring next turn. Found a land. Alright, we will Boltwave our opponent here. And then I will kill this. It's kind of the same either way, but we want this gone, so we'll just fire it in. Then we get in for 3 damage. Our opponent maybe plays the 1 ring to fog for a turn, and then we just hold at the price of progress and dome them in their upkeep. I don't think they're going to win the game with 1 card in hand and this 1 ring. I think they're going to have to pass a turn, and that should be all we need to get one of these price of progresses off. Alright, we managed to win the match. Alright, we're on the board. I was worried that our opponent was just going to take us out super early, but we had a turn 5 kill, which is certainly on the slower end of what our deck can do. We could have gone a lot faster if we drew a mountain straight away. Okay, on to round 3. Alright, we have a 2-lander, which is exactly the number of lands that we really want in our openers. So, turn 1 Guide, turn 2 Swiftspear plus Bolt. Next turn, Fireblast plus Skewer. And that's probably going to be good enough. This is looking like the turn 3 we had in round 1. A Cloud Post, you say? I think we should be quick enough to come in underneath the Cloud Post deck a lot of the time. A Goblin Guide, you say? Presage who endures. So next time we can play Goblin Guide and Swiftspear. And then just unload all of our burn on the following turn. For what I assume is going to be lethal. Haven't done the maths quite yet. Glimmer Post is a card that our opponent can have in their deck. Or almost certainly does have because of the Cloud Post. So we have to worry about them being able to gain little bursts of life here and there. I think we have enough time that we just want to maximise the amount of damage we do. A Glimmer Post, there it is. So there's only 2 life, so they're back to 20. Monument Perfection. We're going to have to read this one. Look, search your library for a sphere, locus, or land. Put it in your hand. For 3 mana, it becomes a 9/9. Loses all abilities and gains Indestructible and Toxic 9. Activate only if there are 9 or more lands of different names among the basic sphere and locus lands you control. Okay, so that's probably just going to search for something. It searches without sacrificing, though. That's kind of interesting. Alright, another Fireblast. Let's get this in. Let's get this in. I'm pretty sure we can kill our opponent next turn, right? So they get another Besage and another Glimmer Post, okay? That's Glimmer Post is going to gain some life. So we've got 5 damage, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 damage next turn. So we're actually a little shy because of... Oh no, we're not shy because this is Glimmer Post, right? Because this is only going to put them up to 18 exactly. So we have exactly lethal next turn. Cool. That sounds good to me. There is the Glimmer Post. The Monument to Perfection. So this can go and get them the Plane and Nexus. Or like just another Glimmer Post for next turn. It's just another Glimmer Post. Sure. What are we tapping out for here? Chalice of the Void, X equals 1. Well, that sucks a little bit, doesn't it? Okay, that does change our clock quite a bit here. A Mountain. So this is +1 damage. I think we Fireblast this turn. So we go, while we can, we go shoot them with this. It gets countered, but we get the Prowess trigger. And then we float a red. Then we Fireblast our opponent here. And then we can Spectacle this, which is a 3-drop, so it doesn't get countered by Chalice. And that way we can get in a big hit with all of these creatures. And then we draw a mountain, we can win the game. They can make just a bunch of chump blockers and kill one of our guys. That is somewhat irritating. Yeah, Glimmer Post back up to 7. We're doing here just K command, bunch of guys, draw a card probably, and then just put some things under the bus. Right, they've gained 9 extra life. Alright, so they're making guys. So we don't quite have what we need to get through anymore. This is why I wanted to get the damage through last turn, because our opponent can make a bunch of blockers. So being able to actually get the prowess through on the Monastery Swiftspear is kind of a big deal. So we need to draw a burn spell, and then we need to draw a mountain. I think our opponent might have another Glimmer Post, and then we're in trouble. Okay, we drew nothing of note. I think we're okay if they draw lands, if we're taking away their creatures here. The One Ring, that's not ideal for us. So they probably block all 3 of these creatures. They might let the Swiftspear through. They're feeling spicy. Not feeling spicy, okay. So they're going to use these to activate the Monument to go and get another Glimmer Post, I suspect. Yeah, there's a lot of main deck life gain, but we do have 4 Price of Progress in our deck. And at some point that is just lethal from basically any point. Okay, so they use the Kozilek's command to kill our guy instead. And what they won't just activate the Monument. Now they're activating the monument. Is it going to be their 4th Glimmer Post, or they got a Vesuva? It's a Cloud Post. Okay. It's not gaining more life. That's interesting. The One Ring, sure. This can be precarious. This will put them down to 6, and if they tap it again, then it puts them into Fireblast range. Oh, we got something happening at the end step here. Disruptor Flute. What are you going to name? Price of Progress? Fireblast? Price of Progress, sure. So we're about to draw a Price of Progress. No, we didn't. We drew a Monastery Swiftspear that would get countered, but we get to attack for 2 damage this time. They get Plane Nexus and a K command on the next turn. Okay, so we get to force through 2 damage here. So if we can draw a mountain, we can kill our opponent. Okay, now we can't because they're just about to gain 6. Yikes. The writing is very much on the wall here. Is this just going to be big ol' Emrakul? Which is not cool. Or is this just an enormous Kozilek's command to find an Emrakul? Yep, I think our opponent probably has this one. Okay, they get 5 on the top. That should be enough to kill us, right? Alright, an Ugin the Storm. This does have a gain life mode. I don't think we're winning this one anymore. Okay, well, we put up a good fight for a bit, but the game went on too long and we died. So, I would like to have some Smash to Smithereens, please. I think that's all we actually want from these things. And I think it's the Rift Bolt that goes. It's the one we've been cutting mostly. Sure, let's crack in. No lands, this is an easy mulligan. I guess we keep 3 lands. We need to have a critical mass of resources. We can't really mulligan to 5. We're not that sort of a deck. Let's probably lead off on the Lava Spike here, because that way we can hold this if there is a creature that we do need to deal with. And then our plan is probably going to revolve around getting these Price of Progress down. Ancient Tomb. Yeah, that sucks. But we do have Smash to Smithereens, which might be able to take this out. Or we could just draw some 1-drops. That's cool too. Alright. We are falling behind already. Smash to Smithereens. Okay, I'm not mad about that. I think we smash this, and then we bolt. Then we chain lightning our opponent. Alright, things have definitely turned around. So we have 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. So we have the win next turn if they play a land. If they play a Glimmer Post, then we don't. They could play a Disruptor Flute, naming Price of Progress. They did that in game 1. Okay, the Glimmer Post, so we don't have lethal anymore. This is going to be Disruptor Flute, naming Price of Progress, I would imagine. Kind of like our big trump card in the matchup. Yep. Okay, now we might draw another Smash. It's not that likely, though. A Rift Bolt. I guess we suspend this and then hold up the Lightning Bolt. So, Price of Progress costs us 5 to cast. So if we flood out, we can cast it. The One Ring. Really sucks for our Rift Bolt there. We could have played around that. I guess I Rift Bolt myself in a minute as well. Yeah. Yeah, we should have just hardcast the Rift Bolt. I didn't even talk about that earlier. That's a misplay on my part. We could have just hardcast it. Guarantee the damage. Okay. So then we Rift Bolt. They've changed the wording on this so you don't have to cast it anymore, which is not how I think it should be. We're 1 mana away from a Price of Progress, which is going to be lethal. So, can we draw a mountain? A Glimmer Post. It's Big Daddy Ugin, which has a gain 3 life mode on it. Not my favourite thing to see. Yep, so that puts it up to 14. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So if we can get this off, it's not going to do enough straight away. We have a mountain there, so we can cast the Price of Progress. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 damage here. So they play a land before activating Ugin Eye of Storms. Then we do get to kill them. They have correctly activated Ugin Eye of Storms first. There's a tower. That is not a Glimmer Post. That's nice for us. Another copy of the One Ring. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Alright, let's just 12 our opponent with 1 card. So they're probably not going to want to draw with this One Ring. And if we can draw a Lightning Bolt, or a Price of Progress, or any instant speed burn, we can kill our opponent. What is happening now? Look like possible Kozilek's command here, just to Khan the Great Creator. They don't have the mana to lattice lock us. So what are they getting here? A Sphere of Resistance. Okay, that does have text here. This means that we can't cast a Price of Progress if we draw it. But that's pretty much all it stops. We drew a mountain. Not the one we wanted. So now our opponent just lattice locks us and we are out of the game. So they will activate their Eye of the Storm Ugin first. Okay, playing a Gun Post is... I think you activate the Eye first. I guess it doesn't really matter. I can respond to either. So now they're going to get the lattice and then we're locked out of the game. Let's make them sweat for a bit. Okay, we are having a bad time, which is kind of what I expected with Burn, to be honest. Which is why it hasn't seen a lot of play lately. But we've got 2 more rounds to go, so let's see if we can get a positive at the end of this. Have you got magic cards you don't want taking up space in your home, or do you just need some extra spending money? Well, my lovely sponsors, 3for1 Trading, are buying all collections, big and small. They are one of Europe's biggest traders and have a transparent process to sell them cards and make sure you're getting a good deal. Click the link in the description of this video to get an offer on your cards today. It's a 1-lander, but I think we keep these. We're on the draw as well. We have plenty of stuff to do. If we draw a second mountain, we are absolutely off to the races. Underground Sea. Are we getting Thought Seized? Are they holding up for Entomb? Are they casting Dark Ritual? Doomsday? No, it's just a Ponder. Okay, we drew another burn spell. Goblin Guide, here you come. Is this worth a daze to you? No. Did they stack their deck with anything nice? They shuffled, I think, actually, on their deck. Alright, the Orcish Bowmaster can stop the Goblin Guide from doing anything next turn. Not great for us. Now, what flavour of blue-black are they? They could be Grixis as well. Undercity Sewers could still be Grixis, but there's also no Bowmasters this turn cycle, but they could have a Fatal Push for our guy. Which they will wait until the trigger happens. Oh, Dark Ritual. Okay, we might be that Echo Vion's deck. Okay, I guess we lose to Baraghoth. Okay, we drew a mountain. That's something. But what is it? We just point a burn spell at this, and then another one. Thanks, I hate it. Okay, well, at least I didn't gain life, and we do have a lot of burn in hand. Dark Ritual and Baraghoth. Is this some sort of Doomsday list? Like Tempo Doomsday with Baraghoths and Bowmasters? Tempo Doomsday should be reasonable for us. I guess we do like auto lose to Baraghoth, which is a reason not to really be playing burn at the moment. They shuffled off their Ponder, so they still haven't found what they're really after. A Tamiyo, yeah, that can be annoying. Let's clean this Tamiyo out so we can connect for 2 damage this turn and hopefully next turn. Force of Will on top of their library. Understood. Let's skewer them. Let's spike them. Do I Fireblast here? I don't think I do, but there is an argument because we know they got a Force of Will coming. Just get that damage in. But we also know they have a Bowmasters which can get in the way of the Goblin Guide, so we won't be able to get the final bits of damage in if that's what we opt to do. So if we attack, we know this Bowmasters is coming, so we may as well just hold back on blocks. We're not going to fire these off until we can fire off a Flurry in 1 turn, and then it makes the Force of Will much harder for them to actually get good use out of. They didn't play the Bowmasters. Interesting. Is this going to be a Big Daddy Murktide Regent? Because that certainly blocks our creature effectively. It is Big Daddy Murktide. It's only a 5/5 though, so we can take a couple of hits from it without worrying too much. 8 damage to get through. Price of Progress. That's 2. So that's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. Alright, let's go for this Lava Spike and see if our opponent wants to interact with it. They did not. Okay. Gonna play another land out, then Price of Progress is just lethal. Here comes 5 damages. No, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to fire this into a daze. A mountain. So now they can play out the Bowmaster. So I guess we're still not attacking. A Brainstorm. Sure. So they might be putting back the Bowmasters. So maybe we attack next time. Ponder, we're just doing some selection over there. If we play a land, then the Price of Progress is like a nice little prize that we can try and get them to counter our Fireblast and stuff with. They did not shuffle off that Ponder. They played a Swamp. That's not the one we wanted to see. So do you attack for 5 here? I don't think you can if you've got the Bowmasters as a thing that you can't cast right now. A Fireblast. Okay. I'm going to Fireblast my opponent here while they're tapped out with blue mana. Let's cast a Price of Progress here. Alright, we managed to get over the finish line. Why are they running Dark Ritual in their deck? That's what I don't understand. That's the thing that I am confused by. So, I don't think they're doing Reanimator stuff though. I think the Pyroblasts are kind of interesting. And the Searing Blaze is kind of interesting. And we just lose to the Goyf all the time, I think, is what happens here. Is it Skewer or Riftbolt? I think Riftbolt goes. Sure, we can keep this one. It's a ponder. They did not Dark Ritual into Barraglyph. Well, they wouldn't necessarily... I guess we don't actually have an answer for Barraglyph right now. We need to wait till turn 2 before we can answer a small Barraglyph. Chain Lightning. That's more flexible, so we're just going to spike our opponent here. So 3, 6, 9, and then some extra amount from the Eidolon. I don't think we play the Eidolon out on turn 2. I think we play it on turn 3. We don't want to get locked underneath our own Eidolon and end up having trouble. So I think we Boltwave and then Skewer. Right, we've got our opponent down to 10. They're probably going to drop a Bowmasters here. They did not drop a Bowmasters. Interesting. So next turn we can play Eidolon a round of days and then hold up Chain Lightning. Or we can Chain Lightning something. Lake of the Dead. I don't know what our opponent is doing in their deck. A Barraglyph. That is a 2-3. How many instants are in the graveyard? None. So counter magic here really sucks is what you're telling me. Days. They can't play Days actually. But Force of Will would obviously count this anyway. Okay, there's the Force of Will. Then we play out the Eidolon. And then we lose the game because I don't think our deck can beat this. Alright. Our Eidolon was just a shock and a discard, basically. But we're getting hit for 5 a turn and it's life gain. It's just not a winnable position for us, I don't think. So they can go and get back the Orcish Bowmaster if they want. And they do want. The only reason you wouldn't want it is if it was the only creature, but because we have creature. Alright, we have a mountain. Our opponent's going to be up to 20 life pretty soon. They need to just keep playing out non-basics. That's our only route to having anything going here. But they can't play non-basics out better than... Yeah, we're just dead. What are we doing here? Alright. We've run into the Barraglyph problem. Do we actually want these Pyroblasts? I'd rather just have, like... Are we playing something really weird, like Faerie Macabre, just to try and shrink their Goyfs? That seems horrible. No, I think we do keep these. Like, they might have something like a Kaito that could be kind of annoying, or a clutch counterspell. Right, this is fine. Alright, let's get a mountain in. And start the beats. Here they come. Next turn we have Chain plus Guide. The downside of that is if our opponent plays something we need to Chain Lightning, it can get a bit awkward. Monastery Swiftspear. Okay, we don't need to do that now. Let's get Guide in. Let's get Swiftspear in. Let's bash a Dark Ritual. Right, they failed pushing one of our Goblin Guides. But we get 3 damage in. Our opponent can deploy a Barraglyph next turn. It's going to be big enough to survive whatever we throw at it, unfortunately. Unless we Fireblast it, which obviously is a bit sketchy. Alright, they didn't have it. That's good news. I'll play this. We will Chain Lightning our opponent. Prowess our Swiftspear. And then we're going to crack in for 4. Lake of the Dead. So they got mana. A basic island playing around our Price of Progress. Pretty solid. An Orcish Bowmasters. Yep, so they can take out either of our creatures. They're going after the Goblin guys. They're going to trade the Orc army for the other part of the guide. Are they going to take 2 or are they going to soak damage? They're just going to take 2. Okay. We've got 6 damage in hand. So we need a Lightning Bolt, really, to get over the finish line here. That's assuming our opponent plays as Lake of the Dead, which they might not do. Right, that is a land that we can hopefully leverage our Price of Progress into. There could be a fatal push here. A mountain. Not the one I wanted, to be honest. Alright, we're just taking the one here. No, we're just trading off their guy. That's fine. We don't need to think about whether or not we're going to try and get Prowess this turn. Okay, so Barraglyph's going to be scary, if that's what they have. Alright, there's the Lake of the Dead. 6 mana. What are we doing here? Demigod of Revenge. Ah, cool. That's fine. Are you attacking? I think you attack. They decided not. Monastery Swiftspear. We play this one out. So we can hit our opponent for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not lethal. So we're going to chill for another turn. So now we've actually worked out what our opponent's doing. They're doing Lake of the Dead to get the Demigod of Revenge into play. That makes some sense. Underground Sea. We now have lethal damage. A Boltwave. I will cast a Boltwave. 3 mana. Force of Negation. You got it. We still get the Prowess though. Price of Progress for 2 lands. This is going to be 4 damage. Force of Negation. So if we shoot our opponent for 4, that puts into 5. This only deals 4. If we shoot this guy down, then we can hit our opponent for 8. You've got another force. You can't because we know we've got a Dark Ritual, right? Just puts our opponent to 8, to 1, because we hit them for 8. Which means either of these are lethal next turn. Any burn spell is lethal. Our opponent just could play a Barragoyf though. And if we draw a land, then we're in trouble. Ponder. They have this Dark Ritual which can find them the mana to get the guy. They also have the Lake of the Dead. So getting a Barragoyf into play isn't difficult. It's finding it that is the problem. Dark Ritual. They could play 2 demigods. So they could play a demigod which then gets their other one back. Okay, so they have a Barragoyf. They have 1 card in hand. We need to find a burn spell. It's a Chain Lightning. To the dome, please. Is that lethal? We can pay for a daze. They only have 1 card in hand. We managed to get the match. Alright, so we're 4 rounds down and we've managed to scrape 2 and 2. So a positive record is achievable with burn in 2025. Let's get to it and see if we can make that dream come true. We are on the play. Our hand is 5 lands. There's no way we can keep that in our deck. 2 lands though, but none of our spells are castable. What are we doing here, team? Can we go to 5 with this deck? I'm going to keep this. And I'm going to get rid of a price, because these might not be good. I think our hand is diabolically bad here, but it has damage in it. So I think we have to keep it, because we simply can't win on multi-5s with this deck, I don't believe. I wish these were instant so that we could prey off our opponent's fetch lands. A Windswept Heath. So a Tundra. Probably looking in like the Bant ballpark, like Nadu and stuff. Nadu mid-range or something of that ballpark. Another Price of Progress. Well, sure. So what we can do is Fireblast and then fire off our Skewer the Critics at some point. Alright, if our opponent's just going to play draw go with us, we'll eventually be able to cast these Price of Progresses and have a good time. What a silly game we are in right now. We still get non-basics. In for a penny, in for a pound. We are doing that. Risen Reef. Wowzers, trousers. What exactly does this do? Look at top card of your library as a land card. You're going to put it onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't put the card into your hand. I don't think we need to Price of Progress just yet. A mountain. Okay, I'm happy with that. We're going to Price of Progress around a daze in our opponent's next turn. The Price of Progress is currently dealing 6 damage, possibly 8 this turn cycle, or even more if Risen Reef puts a bunch of lands into play. This is basically like a Nadu trigger whenever an elemental enters. They put Kahira the Orphan Guard. I didn't even see they had the Kahira the Orphan Guard. I normally just only look at the amount of cards in their deck when I'm trying to work out if they're companions or not, because that's the only one that really sees play. Price of Progress, please. I would very much like you to take 6 damages. A Force of Will pitching a Ponder. You got it. Okay, so I will Lava Spike my opponent here. We'll fire off a couple of Skewers, I think. Okay, our opponent is basically dead to our hand. I don't know if there's some sort of weird combo that gets them over the line this turn. I genuinely have no idea what our opponent's doing. Cavern of Souls. That makes Price of the Progress very, very lethal. So if they have 1 counterspell and they point it at the price, we are in trouble, because this isn't enough damage. But we could draw a burn spell next turn. We certainly have 1 or 2 of them in our deck. Kahira the Orphan Guard. That is fine. It's not an elemental. It should be all the creature types that it cares about. That would make sense to me. Alright, deck. What are we doing? We are going Lava Spike. Price. They got a counter for this. Then we do have lethal next turn. They did not have a counter, and we just get to burn our opponent out. Okay, they're playing some creatures. I guess we want Smash to Smithereens. No, sorry, Searing Blaze is the one I want. And there is an argument to board in the Pyroblast because they've shown us Risen Reef. They probably have a bunch of other blue stuff that we might care about. But I think we're just going to wait and see on that front and just get rid of these Rift Bolts. Our opponent is on a bit of a brew here, so we might actually have a chance. And our Price of Progresses look very good in this matchup, which I will certainly take. Yeah, this hand seems fine. If we draw another mountain, we get to use both of our Fireblasts. Go, Gadget, 1-2. I wonder how many of my viewers remember Inspector Gadget. That's an interesting question. Alright, are they gonna play like a plow here? It feels like we're getting plowed. Goodbye, Swiftspear. Sure. So we have 11 damage in hand right now. So we need to find another 8. And we also need to worry about whether or not it resolves. A Chain Lightning. I'll fire that off now. We don't know if our opponent has days. We might as well try and play around it as best we can. Dovin's Veto. Okay. Unexpected, but if they're spending it on 3 damage spells, it means our Fireblast and Price of Progress managed to get through. Our opponent could pretty much have anything in their deck. We are in some very uncharted territory here. Let's go for a Lava Spike, and we will skewer them, playing around days. We have 8 damage in hand. We need to find 5 more. A Price of Progress might be enough on its own, but they can always just fetch a basic with this Misty, which I suspect they probably will do. Oh no, they need red. What are you playing red mana for? Minsk and Boo? Omnath, sure. I'm going to have to read this one. Whenever a land you control enters, you gain 4 life if it's the first time this ability has resolved. If it's the second time, you get mana. Have they played a land yet? Draws a card, plays a forest. Am I playing around Force of Negation by Fireblasting this now? I didn't think so. I think we probably have to Fireblast this unless we can win the game this turn. Let's skewer our opponent for the iron price. And then I think we do have to get rid of this Omnath. 4 life is not really what I want our opponent to be gaining every turn. We're still at that point where we're trying to find 5 damage. The Price of Progress is 5 damage. Do you have another Omnath? They do. Okay. We could just blow this up with a Fireblast, but then we don't have mana to cast a Price of Progress, which is probably how we win this game now. Yep. Incidental life gain is pretty good. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. I think we're losing this one. Maybe they'll miss on land drops. Okay. So each land drop gains them 4 life, but then they lose 2 life. So effectively, it's only gaining them 2 if we're drawing a Price of Progress at some point. They do have hardcast Force of Will mana, but they are tapping out of it. And they're putting Kahira the Orphan Guard in their hand. That says they probably don't have a Force of Will there. We've drawn a mountain. Not the one we wanted. So they can play the Kahira and attack for 5 this turn. Yep. So our Fireblast doesn't kill the Omnath anymore. And we are just flooding out here. We're going to be hardcasting Fireblast soon. Yep. There's a 2-turn clock. So we need something good. It's another mountain. And we lose the game. Okay, that was very decisive. Okay, we board in the Pyroblasts. We definitely want them because they've... Well, we didn't board in the Pyroblast. Okay, we definitely want the Pyroblast because our opponent has Omnath, which is a little bit spooky for us. If we have a Pyroblast, we can hold it open when we get there. Hopefully we can just go in underneath them. Like, we've shown that we can kill on turn 3. Sure. It's a little slow, but we do have some big haymakers. This worked out pretty well for us in game 1 here. I assume they're going to fetch basics relatively aggressively. Alright, let's Chain Lightning them, and then we'll try and Skewer the Critics them. I don't know if their deck supports days. If they're running Dovin's Veto, it doesn't feel like they're doing that. I think I remember this deck in Standard once upon a time. Alright, we just keep passing backwards and forwards. We've got, at present, 4 damage in hand. Another mountain gives us 8 damage in hand. If they play other lands, then it goes up. Let's see if they want to go and get a Surveil land here or something. If they have counter spells, they probably save them for our 4+ damage spells. So the fact that our 2 spells resolve doesn't necessarily mean they don't have any counter magic. Dovin's Veto, pretty tricky to cast with this forest. Alright, they've got a non-basic. So we have a shock in hand. A Growth Spiral, sure. Cavern of Souls. This is now 4 damage. Wooded Foothills. What little friend are you putting into play? It's a Risen Reef. You going to put another land in? I think I'm willing to fire off a price here. The price is right. So they can go and fetch a basic here so they don't take as much damage. But this is still going to be 4 damage, which is totally fine for 2 mana. They failed to find. Oh wow, they are worried. Mountain is pretty good here. Not a mountain. Alright, I will Boltwave my opponent. And we just hold up this damage here. So if they play a land to play an Omnath, we can then get the Price of Progress to do lethal. I'll take 1. Feels like we're going to get over the finish line here. Risen Reef. Did they just... Oh, they just used red mana from the cavern. That's where the red mana came from. You going to put in any other lands? Probably not. So now they're going to go to clean up. I'd like to Lava Spike my opponent, please. That's just price. Force of Will. I will Fireblast. Try and overload their counter magic this turn. Alright, we managed to get the match. So, somehow we finished with a 3-2 with Burn in 2025. That is basically like a trophy with Burn, because this deck is not really at the Legacy power level. I think we showcased that. So, Legacy at the moment is about 50% combo decks. And Burn is not great into a lot of those combo decks. Now, we have some Graveyard Hate, so we can just keep our opponent at bay for a bit. So we're probably okay into the Reanimator matchup. Like, this is probably like a reasonable shout into Blue-Black Reanimator. The problem is, if they pivot into the Barragoyf, how are we ever beating that? Because that card can just solo us. If it's out of range of our burn spells, then we're just cooked. And I don't think we're great into a lot of these combo decks, because we can kill on turn 3, but on average we're looking at like a turn 4 to 5 kill if things go well for us. They have to go really well to get turn 3. So being like a turn 5 deck in a format that is a turn 2 format is a scary place to be. So it does feel difficult to play the old Burn in this particular format. But as I said at the top, I've been tinkering with something in this space that might be a little bit more viable, or it might be terrible. I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. But I think this deck has some real problems, which is a shame, because I think this deck should be... A Legacy format should have this deck be pretty reasonable. But people playing like 5/6 3-mana creatures with lifelink is an issue, and just all these turn 2 combo decks that we can't necessarily interact with. Like Mindbreak Trap, what's that going to do against Show and Tell? Nothing. What's it going to do against the Karnforge decks? Sometimes something, sometimes nothing. So, you know, our interaction pieces aren't the best. Like, what are we going to do against Doomsday? Like, sometimes we can Mindbreak Trap for value there, but sometimes they don't cast that many spells and we just die. So it's a tough time to be a Burn player, but fair play to Simon Kamerow, who managed to win a tournament with his Burn deck. That is pretty incredible, to be honest. Like, if you run hot, no pun intended, then I guess you can squeak out lots of turn 3 wins and maybe get over the finish line. But I don't think we're in a situation where we're recommending Burn as a budget deck for people to play in Legacy just yet. But still pretty cool, and it's always nice to see somebody doing well with something really off meta. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.